Alex had never imagined his life could change in a single moment. He lived a simple, quiet life on the outskirts of the small town where he had grown up. There were no major events or exciting adventures, just the peace of nature and solitude. That's how he liked it, or at least that's how he used to like it. It all began one late evening when Alex decided to take a walk in the woods behind his house. The sun was just starting to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows through the trees. The air was cool, and the faint sound of rustling leaves was the only noise that broke the silence. It was a calm, normal evening until something strange happened. As Alex walked deeper into the forest, he noticed a light, a soft, glowing blue light, shining through the trees ahead. Curious, he followed the light, wondering if someone had set up a campfire or if it was some kind of strange reflection from the setting sun. But as he got closer, he realized it wasn't any kind of natural light at all. There, in a clearing, lay a massive, twisted wreckage, a ship, but not any ship Alex had ever seen before. It was sleek, metallic, and strange, like nothing from Earth. The surface of the ship glowed faintly with an eerie blue hue, and it was clear that it had crashed into the ground with incredible force. The wreckage looked like it had been there for hours, maybe even longer. But something about it made Alex feel uneasy. He stepped closer, cautiously, wondering if there were any survivors. His heart raced as he approached the ship, but just as he was about to reach the wreckage, a sound stopped him dead in his tracks. A faint, almost inaudible noise. A soft groan. Alex's instincts kicked in. Someone was alive. His mind raced as he quickly moved toward the sound. There, lying just a few feet from the wreckage, was a figure, an alien woman. She was collapsed on the ground, her clothes torn and stained with blood. Her hair was long and silver, shimmering in the fading light. Her skin was pale, almost glowing in the soft glow of the wrecked ship, and her eyes, though closed, appeared to have an unnatural brightness to them. Without hesitation, Alex rushed to her side. "Hey, are you all right?" he called out, though he knew she couldn't hear him. She was unconscious and her breathing was shallow. He looked around, unsure of what to do. There was no one else here. No other survivors. Just her. As he knelt beside her, his mind raced. Who was she? Where had she come from? And how had she ended up here? She stirred slightly as Alex gently touched her arm. She opened her eyes slowly, and the moment their gazes met, Alex felt a strange jolt of energy pass through him. He couldn't explain it, but it was as if something powerful had connected them in that brief moment. The woman's eyes were an odd, glowing shade of blue, unlike anything Alex had ever seen. Her stare was both calming and unsettling at the same time. Are you hurt?" Alex asked, his voice softer this time, unsure if she could even understand him. Her lips parted, but no words came out at first. Instead, she seemed to struggle to focus, her eyes darting around as if trying to make sense of her surroundings. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she spoke in a low, raspy voice. "I am lost." Her words were slow, each one taking effort to say, but they were words nonetheless. And they confirmed what Alex had feared. This woman wasn't from Earth. "Don't worry, I'll help you," Alex said, his voice shaking slightly. He wasn't sure what he was getting himself into, but he couldn't leave her here alone. The woman's gaze locked onto him again, and for a moment, he thought she was studying him. She said nothing, but the intensity of her stare made Alex feel like she was seeing straight through him. Without another word, Alex carefully lifted the woman into his arms. She was surprisingly light, almost weightless, and he quickly realized that she was far too weak to walk on her own. Her breathing was becoming steadier now, but her wounds were still serious. He needed to get her to safety. He carried her back to his cabin, just a short distance away from the crash site. Once inside, Alex laid her down on the couch, making sure she was as comfortable as possible. He looked at her with concern, unsure of what to do next. She was an alien, and he had no idea how to care for someone like her. But the sight of her injuries, blood staining her clothes, told him he had to act quickly. For the next few hours, Alex worked tirelessly. He cleaned her wounds the best he could with the limited supplies he had. He was careful not to move too quickly or make her feel more discomfort than necessary. As he did, he noticed how calm she remained, as if she had no fear, no anxiety about being in this strange place. Her gaze never left him, even when her eyes were closed in exhaustion. At one point, Alex realized that her clothes were torn and covered in blood. It would be impossible to treat her injuries properly without removing them, but the thought of undressing an alien woman made him hesitate. It felt wrong, invasive even, but he also knew that he had to help her. "Sorry," he muttered under his breath, more to himself than to her, as he carefully began to remove the damaged clothing. His hands trembled slightly, and he couldn't help but feel a deep sense of guilt. But as he peeled away the torn fabric, he was struck by how different she looked up close. Her skin was smooth, flawless, and her form was unlike anything he had ever seen before. It was both beautiful and alien in a way that was hard to comprehend. Once her clothes were off, Alex took a step back. She lay there, unconscious, but breathing steadily, her body exposed. He quickly covered her with a blanket, feeling a wave of embarrassment wash over him. The last thing he wanted was to make her feel uncomfortable, but at the same time he knew it was necessary to care for her properly. As he sat back down on the chair across the room, he glanced at her once more. There was something about her that unsettled him, a quiet power, an energy that seemed to fill the room. She was beautiful, yes, but there was something else, something hidden beneath the surface that Alex couldn't quite put his finger on. And then, as if sensing his thoughts, she spoke again, her voice soft and almost haunting. "You shouldn't have helped me." Her words sent a shiver down Alex's spine. What did she mean? Why shouldn't he have helped her? "I had to," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. "You were alone. You needed help." Her eyes flickered open, and this time they were filled with a deep sadness. "You will regret this," she said, her voice barely audible. The words hit Alex like a punch to the stomach. He didn't understand what she meant, but he could feel the weight of her words. They lingered in the air long after she had fallen back into a deep sleep. Alex didn't know what he had gotten himself into, but one thing was clear: his life would never be the same again. The next morning, the sun filtered through the small window of Alex's cabin, casting soft beams of light across the room. He woke up earlier than usual, feeling a sense of unease he couldn't shake off. It had been a restless night, filled with strange dreams that felt too real to be mere imagination. In every dream he saw the alien woman, Serafina as she had called herself, speaking to him, her words both cryptic and distant. Alex had spent the night keeping an eye on her, making sure her wounds weren't worsening. He wasn't sure what to expect from someone who wasn't from Earth, but she seemed to heal quickly. Her breathing had become steady, and her skin, which had once been pale and covered in blood, now looked almost flawless. But still, something didn't sit right with him. There was a strange energy in the air whenever she was near, something that tugged at the back of his mind. He quietly stood up from the chair beside her bed, stretching his stiff muscles. The first thing he did was check the supplies he had in the cabin. A few basic medical supplies, bandages, antiseptic, and a small first aid kit were all he had, but they had done the job for now. He took a deep breath and glanced back at Serafina, who was still lying on the couch, her long silver hair spread out over the pillow like a shimmering halo. The blanket that covered her had shifted slightly in the night, but she hadn't moved much otherwise. Alex hesitated for a moment, watching her closely. Should he wake her? He didn't know what to expect. Would she be angry for being helped? Would she even remember what happened the night before? His mind raced with questions, but he pushed them aside. He decided to wait. He wanted to make sure she was fully conscious before speaking to her. After all, she was an alien, and he had no idea how to approach someone from another world. About an hour later, Serafina stirred. Her eyelids fluttered open, and she blinked a few times as if adjusting to the light. When her gaze met Alex's, something strange happened. For a brief moment it felt as if she wasn't just looking at him but into him, like she was studying his every thought. Alex stiffened, suddenly feeling exposed. "You're awake," he said, trying to sound calm, though his voice betrayed the nervousness he felt inside. Serafina didn't respond immediately. She simply stared at him with those piercing blue eyes, her expression unreadable. There was a quiet intensity in her gaze, as if she was trying to understand him. Alex wasn't sure whether to be afraid or intrigued. After what felt like an eternity, Serafina's lips parted and a soft voice escaped her mouth. "Where am I?" Her voice was smooth, but there was something strange about it, almost melodic, like the sound of a language Alex had never heard before. She seemed to be struggling with the words, like they didn't come naturally to her. Alex wasn't sure how to answer. He had no idea how to explain this. Days passed and Alex began to settle into an odd routine. Every morning he would check on Serafina, making sure she was comfortable and had enough food and water. Every evening, he would try to talk to her, but her answers were always short and cryptic, and she still refused to open up fully about her past. She remained distant, sometimes even cold, but Alex couldn't help but feel drawn to her, a feeling he couldn't explain. Serafina had made little progress in explaining who she was, where she had come from, or why she had ended up on Earth. Alex tried his best to remain patient. After all, she had crash-landed on a strange planet, was injured, and had every reason to be cautious. But there were moments, small moments, when Serafina's behavior seemed unusual, and Alex began to notice things he couldn't ignore. One day, while Alex was cleaning the cabin, Serafina asked him if she could go outside. It was the first time she had spoken about leaving the cabin, and though Alex was reluctant, he agreed. He thought a little fresh air might do her good. The moment Serafina stepped outside, something in the air seemed to change. It was as though the entire atmosphere around her shifted. Alex watched from the window, and as she stood in the middle of the clearing, she stretched her arms out wide. The wind began to swirl around her, lifting the leaves and dirt from the ground, creating a small vortex. Alex's breath caught in his throat. He knew something was off about Serafina, but this was something he could not explain. He rushed outside, his heart pounding in his chest. "Serafina, what are you doing?" he called out. She turned to face him, and for the first time in days, she smiled. A faint, almost haunting smile. "I am releasing some of the energy I've been holding inside," she said, her voice calm and serene. "What do you mean, energy?" Alex asked, his voice shaky with confusion. "What kind of energy?" Serafina's smile faded, and her eyes took on a faraway look. "The kind of energy that powers my kind," she answered softly. "It is not something that can be controlled easily, but I must let it out or it will consume me." Alex didn't fully understand, but he could feel it. This strange, powerful energy radiating from her. The wind around her grew stronger, and for a moment Alex thought it might pick him up off the ground. But then, just as quickly as it had started, the wind died down, and Serafina lowered her arms. "It is not safe to hold it in," she whispered, almost to herself, "but I have no control over it." Alex stepped closer, his concern growing. "Serafina, are you telling me you have some kind of power, like super strength or something?" Her gaze met his, and for the first time, Alex saw a flicker of something, a mixture of fear and regret in her eyes. "It is not strength you need to worry about," she said, her voice low and serious. "It is what I could do if I lost control. I do not know my limits. I do not even know why I was sent here." Alex took a step back, still trying to process what he had just seen. "But why didn't you tell me about this before? Why keep it a secret?" "I didn't want you to be afraid," she replied. "But you must understand, this power is not normal. It is a part of who I am, and if I am not careful, it could destroy everything around me." Alex looked at her, trying to make sense of it all. He had always thought of her as an injured alien, someone who needed help. But now, He realized she wasn't just someone who needed care. She was a person with an incredible force inside her, one that could potentially be dangerous. It made him both fearful and fascinated. "I don't understand," Alex said. "What are you? Who are you really?" Serafina's expression softened and she took a deep breath. "I told you before, I am from a far-off world, a place very different from Earth. My people, we are not like you. We are not just flesh and bone. We are energy, and that energy can take many forms. It can heal, it can protect, and it can destroy. And when we are separated from our kind, we lose control." Alex couldn't fathom what she was saying. He had always thought of aliens as beings from another planet, but he never imagined they would be so different, so powerful, so terrifying. "I don't know what I was sent here to do," Serafina continued, her voice trembling slightly, "but I can feel it. There is something here, something I must find. I just don't know what it is. I don't know why Earth is important, but I know that I cannot do this alone." Alex took a deep breath, his thoughts racing. This was far beyond anything he had ever imagined. Helping her had already changed his life, and now he could feel the weight of it even more. He wasn't just helping an alien woman. He was helping someone with powers he didn't understand. And worse, he wasn't sure how much control she had over them. For the first time since Serafina had arrived, Alex felt a deep sense of unease. He had been so focused on taking care of her, on keeping her safe, that he hadn't considered the consequences of what might happen if she lost control. What if she hurt someone? What if she hurt him? "I'll help you," Alex said, his voice steady, though inside, he was still processing the shock. "I don't know what you're looking for, but I'll be here. I won't leave you alone." Serafina turned to him, her eyes wide with something Alex couldn't quite place. Appreciation, maybe? Or was it something deeper, something darker? "You cannot save me," she said quietly, "but you can keep me from making the wrong choice." Alex didn't know what she meant by that, but something about her words felt heavy, as if they held a truth she couldn't quite bring herself to say. He had no idea what kind of trouble they were heading into, but he knew one thing for certain. Serafina wasn't just any alien stranded on Earth. She was a powerful being, and he was now caught up in her dangerous world, whether he wanted to be or not. As the days went by, Alex couldn't stop thinking about what he had witnessed: Serafina's power, her struggle to control it, and the quiet intensity that seemed to fill the room whenever she was near. She wasn't just a survivor. She was someone with a purpose, and Alex felt like he had been dragged into that purpose, whether he liked it or not. And with every passing moment, he could feel the weight of her words. "You cannot save me." The days continued to pass in a strange rhythm. Alex had settled into a new reality that felt both familiar and entirely foreign. The cabin, once his quiet sanctuary, had become a refuge for Serafina, the mysterious alien woman who had crash-landed from the stars. As much as he tried to adjust, he couldn't ignore the feeling that something was unfolding, a truth that Serafina wasn't ready to share, but one he could feel creeping closer with every passing moment. Serafina had slowly started to show more of herself. She was no longer the distant, reserved figure she had been when Alex first found her. She spoke more often now, though her words were still laced with mystery. Every day she grew stronger, her injuries healing at an unnatural rate, her powers fluctuating between calm and stormy. But despite all the strange things Alex witnessed, one thing remained constant: Serafina was hiding something. He didn't know what, but it gnawed at him. One evening, as Alex sat on the porch watching the sun sink below the horizon, Serafina approached him. She had become more comfortable in the outside world, though she still kept her distance from others. Alex noticed that she often stared at the sky, her eyes lost in thought. It was as if she were searching for something among the stars. "Are you okay?" Alex asked, glancing up at her as she stood beside him, her expression unreadable. Serafina hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I am fine, I think." Alex didn't buy it. She had never truly been fine. She had always been distant, as if her mind was somewhere far away on a planet or a mission he couldn't comprehend. "You don't have to hide it from me," Alex said gently. "I know there's more you're not telling me." Serafina's gaze flickered toward him. She studied him for a long moment, as if weighing her words carefully. Finally, she sighed, a deep, almost weary sound that echoed with emotion. "I cannot stay here forever," she said quietly. Alex's heart skipped a beat. He had suspected that her stay was temporary, but hearing her say it out loud made the truth all the more real. "I know," Alex replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "But for now, you're here. You're safe." Serafina's eyes softened, and for the first time she gave him a faint, almost imperceptible smile. "I'm grateful for your kindness, Alex, but there are things I need to do, things I need to find. I cannot remain in hiding forever." Alex felt a sense of unease settle in his chest. "What things? What are you looking for?" Serafina didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked out at the horizon, her gaze distant as though she were searching for something that only she could see. "I was sent here, Alex," she said softly, "not by choice but by necessity. My people, we have a purpose, and this planet, Earth, it is part of that purpose." Alex leaned forward, his curiosity piqued. "What is the purpose?" For a long time, Serafina didn't speak. The silence between them was heavy, filled with unspoken words. Finally, she spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. "The mission I was sent on. It wasn't just to observe or to learn about Earth. I was sent here to find something, someone very important, someone who will change everything." Alex's mind raced. "Who? Who is it?" Serafina looked at him, her eyes piercing, as if she were searching for the right words. "It's you, Alex." Alex froze, his breath caught in his throat. "Me? What do you mean, me?" Serafina nodded slowly, as though it pained her to speak the words. The days felt like they were slipping away faster than Alex could comprehend. Each morning, Serafina seemed to grow stronger, her presence more powerful, yet distant. It was as though she was constantly battling something within herself, something deep and uncontrollable. And each night, when the moon rose high in the sky, Alex lay awake, wondering about the strange power Serafina had spoken of, the power that was now waking up inside him. Alex hadn't experienced anything unusual, nothing that felt like power. He still felt like the same man he had always been, a simple mechanic living a quiet life. Yet with every passing day, something inside him was changing. There was a new energy in the air, a subtle tension that buzzed between him and Serafina whenever they were together. It was as if the very ground beneath his feet had become unstable, and he couldn't figure out why. Serafina had been quiet lately, withdrawn into herself more than usual. She would disappear for hours at a time, walking the forests around the cabin, staring into the distance as if searching for something she couldn't quite reach. Alex tried not to disturb her, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming, something that neither of them could control. One afternoon, after another long stretch of silence, Serafina returned to the cabin. Her eyes were different, darker, more intense, as if a storm were raging behind them. She looked at Alex, and for the first time in days she spoke with urgency. "Alex," she said, her voice low but steady, "it's time. We can't wait any longer." Alex felt a cold knot tighten in his stomach. "What do you mean? What's going on?" Serafina's gaze sharpened, and she took a step closer to him. "There are others, people who know about you, about what you've become. They've been watching us, watching you." The air seemed to grow thicker, heavier, as if the weight of her words had filled the room. Alex could feel his heart rate quicken. "Who are they?" Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Who are these people?" Serafina's face grew grim. "Enemies. Powerful beings who want what you have, the power within you, the power of the ancients. They will stop at nothing to get it, to use it for their own purposes. Alex's mind raced. But how do they know about me? How could they possibly know what's inside me? Serafina shook her head. They've been hunting my kind for centuries, Alex. And when I came here, when I found you, they knew it was only a matter of time before your power began to awaken. They've been tracking me, tracking you ever since. Alex's thoughts spun. He didn't understand how this could be happening, how his quiet life had become entangled in something so far beyond his comprehension. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't special. He was just a man who had gotten caught up in a strange, dangerous situation. But now it seemed there was no way out. We need to leave, Serafina continued. They are coming, and when they do, you must be ready. Alex looked at her, feeling a mix of confusion and fear. How can I be ready? I don't even know what's happening to me. I don't have any power. Serafina's eyes softened for a moment and she placed a hand on his shoulder. You do, Alex. You just don't know how to control it yet, but I can help you. I can teach you. You must learn quickly. We don't have much time. Alex didn't know if he was ready for this. He didn't feel ready. He didn't feel like anything had changed. Not really. But the way Serafina spoke, so certain, so knowing, made him believe that something was waking up inside him whether he wanted it or not. What do I need to do? He asked, trying to calm the panic that was rising inside him. Serafina stepped back and turned to face the window staring out into the woods beyond. You need to learn to harness the energy that's within you. You need to understand it, to control it. Only then will you be able to protect yourself and the people you care about. Alex followed her gaze, feeling the weight of her words sink in. He could no longer ignore the growing sense of unease that had settled deep within him. Something was changing, something that he couldn't stop. And as much as he wanted to ignore it, to go back to his simple life, he knew it wasn't possible. How do I start? He asked quietly, his voice shaking despite his best efforts to remain calm. Serafina turned to face him, her expression serious. We begin with meditation. You must learn to focus your mind to feel the energy inside you without letting it consume you. Alex wasn't sure what to expect, but he knew that there was no going back now. He nodded, determined to learn whatever he could. If there was a power inside him, something connected to Serafina's world, he needed to understand it. Close your eyes, Serafina instructed. Focus on your breathing, in and out, slowly. Alex followed her instructions, unsure of what he was doing but willing to try. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, focusing on the rise and fall of his chest. The world around him began to fade into silence, and the tension in his body slowly started to ease. But as he focused, something else began to happen. He felt a strange warmth at the center of his chest, a pulsing sensation that seemed to grow with every breath. Good. Serafina's voice drifted through the stillness. Now feel the energy. It's inside you. You just have to reach for it. Alex's mind began to race, trying to understand what she meant. Energy? What kind of energy was she talking about? But as he focused on the sensation in his chest, he felt it. A faint hum, a quiet vibration as though his body were resonating with something unseen. Trust it, Serafina urged. You can feel it, can't you? It's the power of the ancients. It's a part of you now. But it's dangerous if you don't control it. Alex took a deep breath, trying to focus on the hum inside him. He felt the warmth spread outward slowly at first, then faster, until it filled his entire body. The sensation was strange, almost overwhelming, but it wasn't painful. Instead, it felt like something ancient, something forgotten, awakening, within him. He could almost hear it, a low, powerful sound that seemed to vibrate through his bones. Suddenly, Alex gasped. He felt a surge of energy, a burst of light that exploded from the center of his chest. His entire body was filled with power, overwhelming and bright, and for a brief moment he felt as if he could do anything. Anything at all. He reached out instinctively, his hand glowing with a strange, blue light. But just as quickly as it had come, the power faded. Alex collapsed to his knees, panting heavily. His heart raced and he felt drained as if he had just run a marathon. "Don't panic." Serafina's calm voice cut through his disoriented thoughts. "You've tapped into it, but you have to learn how to control it." Alex looked up at her, still breathing hard, his hands shaking. I didn't mean to do that. What was that?" "That," Serafina said, kneeling beside him, "was your power, the power of the ancients, and you must learn to wield it, or it will consume you." Alex's mind raced. He had just experienced something he couldn't understand. Something so powerful, so dangerous. And now he realized that his life was no longer his own. He was part of something bigger than he could ever imagine, and he was caught in the middle of it all. "Let's begin," Serafina said, her eyes filled with both compassion and determination. "You have a long way to go, Alex. But together, we can face what's coming." The days leading up to the moment when everything would change were filled with uncertainty. Alex spent hours practicing with Serafina, learning how to control the strange power inside him. Every lesson brought him closer to understanding, but also further away from the life he once knew. The power that had once seemed so foreign, so distant, was beginning to feel like a part of him. He could feel it growing inside him, expanding and shifting, just waiting for the right moment to take over. Serafina was a patient teacher, but even she seemed on edge. There was an intensity to her training sessions now, a sense of urgency that Alex couldn't ignore. Something was coming, something bigger than them both, and Serafina knew it. He could see it in her eyes, the way she would glance out at the horizon as if she were waiting for something to appear. She rarely spoke of it, but Alex had learned to read her silences as much as her words. One evening, as they sat by the fire in the cabin, Serafina finally spoke. "Alex," she began, her voice quiet but firm, "you are ready." Alex looked at her, his brow furrowed in confusion. "Ready for what?" "For what's coming," she said, her gaze unwavering. "The time has come, we cannot hide any longer." Alex's heart began to race. "What do you mean? What's coming?" Serafina's expression darkened, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and resolve. "They're here, the ones who have been hunting me, and now they've found you." Alex's blood ran cold. He had known the danger was coming, but hearing it from Serafina made it all too real. The calm of his life, the life he had tried so desperately to hold on to, was about to shatter. "Who are they?" he asked, his voice trembling with fear. "What do they want with me?" "They want your power, Alex," Serafina said, her voice full of urgency. "The power inside you, the power of the ancients. It is the only thing that can tip the balance in the war that is coming, and they will do anything to take it." Alex's mind was reeling. He still didn't fully understand what the ancients were, or how he had come to possess their power, but he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't ready to face these enemies. He wasn't prepared for a battle. He wasn't even sure how to control the power inside him. And yet it seemed that the time for preparation was over. "What do we do?"